Welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. I'm Jared here with Bob, and we have a somewhat familiar face, I guess. He's not a new face. Iain MacMillan from the PreGame Bets podcast is back on the show. Thanks for coming back, Iain. Always appreciate it.
Not a problem. I'm now a recurring guest.
Yeah.
Yes, officially.
You officially changed the billing. You know,
Yes.
you get your own heading in the intro, whatever. You're not on the list at the very end.
Beautiful.
Yeah, now you're a resident of the States.
I am.
Yeah, I think last time we talked, you were still in Canada.
I think so. I was trying to remember that.
We were discussing how you were going to leave and you didn't know if you were going to get through the border or not because
right.
Immigration was like, you can be a student, or I forget what one of the other stipulations was. It's like, or chance, like pulling a card in Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a stress. I got grilled for about 90 minutes at the border, and it's probably the most stressful 90 minutes of my life because I probably explained this last time I was on, but I kind of just have to pack up your vehicle and hit the border and hope for the best because I had no place to live. I already had signed a lease in Brooklyn that I was committed to. I didn't have any place to live back home. I would have had to, move back in with my parents or something. So 90 minutes while they grilled me with questions was a very nerve-wracking 90 minutes, but thankfully they let me through. So here I am.
How did you actually make out with the car?
I don't own it anymore.
Yeah, I would say didn't you have to schlep it back to Nova Scotia?
Yeah, exactly. So I brought it down here, and in like the first 4 months I was here, I drove about twice, and both the only times I drove was to go golfing. So it's kind of stressful owning a car in New York City because you just park it on the side of the road and hope for the best. And I would just stress every day if someone was going to break into it, if someone was just going to crash into it and just drive away. So right before Christmas, I needed to get my car back home, but obviously the only way to get it there is to drive it. So on my weekend, on my 2 days off, I jumped in the car late. It was like 11 p.m. midnight and just drove all through the night, 16-hour drive, only stopped twice for gas, dropped it off, jumped on a plane and flew back. And then my dad sold my car for me. But I learned my lesson driving down is that main highway down the East Coast. What is it? The I-95?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
I have never experienced traffic like that before in my life, man. Like I'm from a pretty rural area. So like traffic's not really a thing. The whole time from Portland, Maine, all the way to New York City was stop and go. And I wanted to pull my hair out. It was the most, because anytime traffic was like that back home was because like a serious accident or something, and it would last like 20 minutes and then it opens back up again. It didn't open up from Portland, Maine to New York City.
Let me guess.
Connecticut.
Would it happen to be in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Connecticut is the worst fucking
It's
state
so bad.
ever.
That was the worst of it was in Connecticut. What was the worst of the whole trip for sure. But I mean the entire time through through Boston, it was still bad traffic. So on the way back, I was like, there's no way I'm sitting in that traffic again. I will not deal with I-95 traffic. So I drove through the night instead. I was like, I'd rather just literally drive from 11 p.m. until I didn't get into like the next afternoon, but I got through that portion from New York City until like New Hampshire from like 11 p.m. midnight until like 7 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I didn't see any traffic. It was me and a bunch of 18-wheelers out on the road, and that was it. So
that's how you got to do it.
It was a good choice. Yeah.
We did that a couple of years ago. We drove to Baltimore to go to our Pats game. Our buddy lives down there.
Yeah.
And we left in the middle of the night and we drove straight through from Boston all the way down to Baltimore. We hit New York City. I got the privilege to drive the middle section, which for us is Connecticut and New York City. So I got the best part of the trip.
Yep.
And it sucked. The only part of the trip that sucked was my section.
Yes, of course. New Jersey was great. The highway's like 25 lanes wide. I'm like, this is awesome. There's nobody out here.
Yeah. Once you get past New York, it's like, no one cares anymore.
Yeah. And then Delaware. It's like Delaware. It's like, do people even live here? Or
well, if you're on 95 and you drive if you drive on 95 through like New Jersey into like on the way to DC or Baltimore, you're literally in the state of Delaware for, I'm not kidding, about like what, maybe 75 seconds.
And $10. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So it was funny. I saw you posted the whole thing and you talked about it on your podcast. And I was like, I don't know, like I live like right off of 95 in like southeastern Massachusetts. And I was going to be like, hey man, like if you need somewhere to stay, like you're more than welcome. Like we got an extra bedroom, all that. And just out of curiosity, I looked at like how long the trip was and where we were on the trip. And I was like, yeah, I'm like 3.5 hours into this trip. Like there's a 0% chance. Like I felt like I would insult you if I offered you to stay, like, oh, hey, I don't think you can drive past, 2 a.m. so I was like, I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, it was there. If you're ever in the area, you need somewhere to stay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, it was a wild. I actually kind of like driving at night, to be honest. I kind of find it peaceful, so it wasn't too bad. I napped in between when I got off work, napped for like 3 hours, and then just hit the road. So
okay,
it wasn't too bad.
Say you napped while you were driving.
Yeah, no.
Still made it.
By the time I got home, I don't know if I've ever felt like a zombie like that before in my life. Like it was. And I was lucky because there's two different kinds of tired. There's just tired where like a normal tired, but sometimes there's a tired you get when it's driving specifically, which makes no sense because like your life is literally on the line. And I've felt like this before, where you literally can't keep your eyes open. Like you're like have to like every like 5 seconds just be like and just like scream at yourself to keep yourself awake. I never felt that kind of tired on the drive home through the night, which I was super lucky for because you can't fight that kind of tired. No. I just kind of turned into a zombie, but I was able to keep my eyes open and make it. But I never want to make that drive again. That was nuts to do that all in one go. That was kind of stupid.
Well, hopefully you got at least decent money off of the car, and maybe it was worth it.
Yes, it was worth it. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of car you had, but it probably paid for maybe half of a month's rent in New York.
Yeah, seriously. I still had a loan on it, so I got that paid off. So that was the big thing, because paying a loan on a car that you're not using is just sitting there in New York. Also, by the way, driving through New York City, also an insane experience. Once again, not something I'm used to. Nobody just listens to the rules of the road whatsoever, and people are obsessed with honking their horn. It's crazy. I live on the ground floor here in Brooklyn, and like sometimes outside my apartment, people just get in like honking wars. People will just like start honking, and then someone else will like be like, "Oh, you're honking at me, I'll honk at you," and then just like two horns just going at each other for like 5 minutes. It's
and then like someone like
here.
7 cars back is like, I'll just beat my horn too. Why not?
Yeah, it's like dogs in the neighborhood. One dog barks, so they all have to bark.
Yeah.
Back home, like if you honk your horn, like somebody screwed up.
Yeah.
Like it's
like you better be ready to fight.
Right. Here it's just like just honking the horn all day. It's insane.
Yeah, that is definitely a city thing. It's definitely more of a Northeast thing. Like if you leave New England, or I guess the Northeast, because New York is part of it. As soon as you get outside of that, it's pretty chill. Like it's pretty relaxed, like to the point where like sometimes when we travel and we go down south, like I get a little antsy because I'm like, hey guys, what are we doing? Like we've been standing here for, if you go to a restaurant or something, you're waiting to get seated. And it's like when it doesn't happen immediately, you're like, what the fuck kind of service is this? But we're used to like fast paced, like bang, bang, like, cool, you walked right in. All right, cool. Let me run over to you and get you to your table. It's very different in the rest of the world. Or I guess the world.
I get that vibe in New York City. Everyone's got places to go.
Yeah. Everyone's the most important person in the world.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rush to go nowhere.
Yeah. It usually takes me like at least a half a day or a day. Like when we go somewhere, like we just went to North Carolina,
Charlotte.
Yeah. For the Panthers game. And like when we first got there, I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, dude, you're on vacation, relax. Who cares? And I'm like, all right. Yeah. It takes me a little while to get out of that like rush New England mode.
I will say one thing since I've moved to the States that I've noticed, because the kind of stereotype the people in the States have, especially like places like New York City, is that everyone's rude. I don't find everyone rude, but people don't put put on kind of that fake kindness that you get a lot in Canada, where you walk into a store in Canada, everyone's like, oh, hello, sir. How are you today on this wonderful day? How can I help you out? Please let me know how I can be of service. And in New York, like you walk into like a bagel place or something, like the cashier is like literally on her phone, like texting, like, all right, what do you want? Like, oh yeah, sure. And just like toss me a bagel and be like, yeah, that's $10. All right, see you later. It's not rude, but it's like just very to the point, and not they don't have that kind of that fake niceness, which I kind of respect, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because in Canada, it's like if you aren't like constantly smiling and asking everyone how their day is and calling people dear, then you're rude. But I kind of like it here. It's just kind of straight to the point. What do you want? A bagel? All right, take it now. Fuck off.
If you want that, you got to go to a Chick-fil-A.
Right. Yeah. That's what I hear.
Yeah, my pleasure. That's what they say
Right.
to everything. It's kind of weird. It's very
Starbucks too. It's like, hey, it's like we hope you're having a great day. What can we get started for you? Grande ice black. Grande ice black. Would you like to try this thing? Nope. Is there anything else that we can possibly do for you? Yes. Hurry the fuck up.
Yeah. Get me
back
my
home.
coffee.
Back home, every place is like that. Back in Nova Scotia, every place is like over the top nice. Which is good. They're not rude, but also it's kind of at some point it's just like, I'm here for a coffee. Just let's cut this bullshit.
But I mean, I guess wow, as I cough on my beer, I guess if that's all you know, then it's not weird, right? Like if you're always in that type of environment, it's not weird to you. Just like, someone that's probably lived in New York their entire life probably doesn't think it's weird. They're just like, I don't know, it's just what we are.
That's why I think the stereotype exists in Canada that Americans are rude, because I think it's just Canadians who just come here and they're used to the over-the-top niceness, and they see that people, especially in big cities, aren't that over-the-top nice, so they just assume that they're being rude. But like I said, I don't think it's being rude. I just think there's not that facade that everyone in rural Nova Scotia puts on.
And honestly, it goes the same way too. That is one of the running jokes, is the people in Canada are so nice outside of French Canada. They're so nice.
We don't like Montreal.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So it's like they're so nice that they would almost be like apologizing just for existing. And it's like,
right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Nobody likes Quebec.
No, it's true. Especially most of the people on the East Coast.
Didn't they try to like become their own thing?
Yeah, they wanted
didn't they try and like secede?
Sovereign.
Yeah. They wanted to call it Texas.
And I think it almost happened. I think in the late 90s, they almost became their own country, which is why a lot of the people on the East Coast don't like them, is because that would have screwed over the Atlantic provinces so much, because you have to drive through Quebec to get to the rest of Canada, right? So it would have just completely isolated, the Atlantic provinces. So it didn't end up happening, and it's not like it's never going to happen at this point. But I think it was mid to late 90s. I think there was like a real possibility it was going to happen.
Yeah, that would have sucked. But they would have got to have their French national language, whatever they wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So we got a bunch of stuff here that's happened since the last time you were on. You've completed the road to 272 bets, right?
Yep.
So how did that go?
It went well. I don't have my record in front of me right now, but what was I up? 24-ish units, I think it was. Yeah, it went well. I mean, I think I said I'm going to keep doing this every year until I just start until it caused me to go broke, which is possible. But I'm profitable the first 2 seasons I've tried it. I'm going to try to keep going. I don't know if I'll ever do as well as I did this year, though. I think I've kind of set the bar now.
Yeah, you came out of the gate super hot. Right.
Yeah, so I just looked it up here. 151, 120, one push for 25.47 units, 55.71% hit rate. So I came out. Yeah, week 1 was my best week, 13-3 week 1, which, I mean, at the end of the day, I'd love to just pat myself in the back, but it's week 1. Everyone's guessing. I just got really lucky week 1. And then like weeks 1 to 5, I just did really well, and then just kind of stayed steady the rest of the way. So I didn't have any like terrible weeks, which is kind of what did it for me. I went 13-3 week 1. I'd never had any 3-13 weeks. So that's kind of what saved me at the end of it.
Yeah, that'll definitely fuck up your whole day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You finish down like 10 units and you're like, oh man, how I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna keep doing it, but like it's very possible. I finished up 25 units this year. It's possible I just lose 25 units next year because that's the way gambling works. So
yeah,
but I'm gonna keep doing it. It's worked so far.
I had a not to brag, but I had a phenomenal baseball season.
Oh,
which totally out of nowhere. So interest of full disclosure, I'm not a baseball like fan really. If a game's on, maybe I'll watch it for like a minute or two. I don't really care that much. But I decided like early, like at the beginning of the season, I was like, you know what? Baseball is a sport that has been ruined, in my opinion, by stats. But there's so many stats that exist. Why not just use what's available? So I just kind of nerded out all summer. I was at my previous job, so I had a lot of free time. And obviously it was pandemic. My job was weird. Yeah, like I said, I had a lot of free time. So I spent a lot of time getting paid to, handicap, if you will, as I wouldn't call it handicapping. Sure. But I think I finished, I'm looking at it right now. I finished up like 46.97 units.
Very good season.
But that's one of those things. Season. So I've said to Bob, like, I'm very well prepared next year to finish like down 55.
Yeah.
For like a net -9.
You shouldn't have withdrew any money from your account.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of learned my lesson in this because 2 years ago, I had a phenomenal college basketball season. And it was my first year really getting into college basketball and really tracking it and really betting it. And I had a very, very good season. So then heading into last year, I was like, yeah, I'm a college basketball expert. Like this can be my sport. I'm going to crush it. And then in January and February, like of this, I guess last year, it's like a year ago. So January, February, 2021, I could not hit a bet to save my life. No matter what stats I looked at. I even tried to fade myself. And when I'd fade myself, I'd still lose. And the normal picks, I would have been on one. It was like January and February, I could not hit a bet. And it was all like everything was happening the opposite. Like if it was like a bad 3-point shooting team I'd bet against, they'd go like 80% from beyond the arc. I was starting to just lose my mind. So that was kind of how like I've learned that like as soon as you start to think that you are an expert at betting on a sport or think you're a good bettor, gambler or the gambling god will set you straight. So
yeah,
I learned that lesson in college basketball last year. So I will never, ever, ever think that I'm going to be able to do this kind of long-term profit. But
yeah, I mean, that's when I first was in, I think both of us were first introduced to you in general and your stuff was when you were on that heater back in that 2019 into 2020.
Yes, because the season I was hot, I didn't even end up betting on March Madness because COVID happened and canceled it all. So yeah, that was probably like when I was on that heater, that was probably like the biggest bump I got in like my following and stuff was just because I couldn't miss in college basketball. So I went into last season thinking I was hot shit and learned pretty quick that gambling's hard.
yeah. Well, it's one of those things like even in like for the baseball this year, like I only hit it 57%, which is high. That's very good. Like it's hard to do. Like like I said, I'm prepared to never do that again, but still like, I'm not sitting there being like, oh, I made all this money and I hit it 70%. It's like, no. I hit 57% of my bets. I just, you hit baseball, obviously, like you take the money line on some money line underdogs there help a lot, so there's just a lot of just random stuff. And a lot of it's luck too, obviously. Right. Like,
were you sticking to money lines? Did you do totals as well? Was there one that you found you had more success in than the other?
I did both. I don't know how I can get the breakdown on this. I use, I just saw I wouldn't call it a rant, but I knew you just talked about how you don't use an app. You do everything on spreadsheets. I use the Action Network app. But the only downside of that is as I'm looking at it on my phone, like there's no way to like sort.
Yeah, you might have to either export it or pull up all your MLB and throw it into a sheet.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a pretty solid blend. I would say if I bet on one more than the other, it was probably money lines.
You took a lot of dogs, I remember, right?
Yeah. I had a lot of there was like a lot of like random shit. Like, so we're in a group chat, a text, and I would send out this like, oh yeah, I like the Texans plus 140 today against like the Angels. And everyone would be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And then the Texans would win. You know, and it's like
the Texans.
You know,
Texas
yeah,
Rangers.
Texas Rangers. Yeah, I'm in football mode. See, it's baseball is long gone. Like I said,
I knew what you're talking.
I'm not going to hit 57% again. I don't even know the teams anymore.
I'll say if you're betting on the Texans.
I've never tracked. I'm trying. My goal this year is to do a better job of tracking my bets because I've never even tracked my baseball bets. So I'm interested to see how I'm going to do this summer in baseball. I find baseball tough though.
It's a lot too. And like I said, I think the only reason why I was up so many units is just the volume. Like just looking at my record, I was 180, 134, and 14. So that's just off the top of my head. That's 300 and something bets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that's a lot.
It's a big sample size.
So yeah, I mean, if you hit it 56, 57%, like you're going to make, a decent amount of money off of 300 something bets.
Yeah, but it's tough to hit a 57% over that big of a sample size. Any professional bettor in the world would immediately take a 57% season for sure.
Well, not the guys on Twitter though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I get arguments I get in arguments with guys on Twitter. They're like, I know people who hit 65% every single year on spreads. It's like, that's literally impossible. Like you have to be able to tell the future. Like these morons on Twitter who like act like they're experts have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, buy my picks.
Yeah. Sign up for my VIP package. Super max goat whale play.
60 units.
Yeah, 60 unit play.
Yeah, I get fed up with those guys.
The funny thing, I think Bob has said this to me before too. When you follow some of the accounts for long enough, you see they're like, this is a 25 unit play. This is a 15 unit play. This is a 30 unit play. And it's like, dude, maybe it's time to just change your unit then. Like if all you're doing is betting like 20, 30, 40 units, like maybe your unit isn't what you think it is.
Exactly. Then that's not a unit you're betting. I mean, I would never in my life bet 25 times my normal bet size. That's insane. I should be calling a gambler helpline if I'm betting that much. Yeah, and if you're betting 25 units every time, then maybe that just like whatever you think 25 units is, I guess that's just your one unit. Like that's another thing I can't stand about those guys is like 10 unit bangers and 20 unit bangers. Like all of my bets are 1 unit. Like once every maybe month I might do a 2 unit play if it's like a favorite on a money line that I'm confident about. But these guys just tossing out daily 10 unit bombs is stressing me out. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's just wild. It's like, is your unit $1 then? Because if that's the case, then, what are we doing here? Yeah, exactly. But I said it earlier today. I ended up deleting the tweet because by the way, I've become a big fan of deleting tweets. I think a lot of that'll get you.
I don't think a lot of tweets are meant to live forever. I think sometimes I like to send a tweet, have it up for a couple hours, and then delete it, like as if it never happened. I'm convinced all these Twitter touts are children. They don't show their face. They never go on podcasts. They never do videos. They just give out pics and steal people's money. I'm convinced like a good portion of them are actually children.
Yeah, probably. Or like people in like random like call farms in like India. Like that's just some random scheme that they're running. They're like,
that could be it too.
Buy my picks. Here you go. Because I mean, realistically, like you have I know it's more than this, but you have kind of a 50-50 chance, right? Like if you're just giving out fake picks,
right? I
mean, it's really easy to do,
basically.
Yeah, and if you give two different people one like each side of it, then you're guaranteed for one of them to hit, and then you scam. Yeah,
I've heard about people that do that. They do like almost like A/B marketing. They do like A/B betting, and it's like it's weird. I mean, people will do sketchy shit all the time, but
people do anything for $1.
Yeah,
like there's a Twitter account going around now who's DMing people and saying that he'll pay them $250 to retweet them. I told him to go fuck himself. And then a couple hours later, there's guys who I follow on Twitter who I respect who retweet this guy, who are doing it for the $250. Have some pride, like that book it with Trent guy who's blown up recently. I like him. I mean, he's very good at marketing himself, building a brand. He's exploded in like 3 months, but then he retweeted this guy for $250. Like, that at least a couple of your followers are going to fall for this scam, but you're willing to do it for $250. Like,
Yeah.
get a fucking backbone, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has money. It looks like he has money. He doesn't need $250 from a retweet just to throw like 5 to 6 of his followers under a bus. It's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not cool.
That's why over time too, you know, you can kind of filter out a lot of people. And even there were people that I used to like, and they'd post plays here and there, whatever. And it's just like, it's just too much. Like if you're following all these people, it's like, there's just too much going on. But you know, and then there's a few where it's, you might not tail their plays, but I still follow them because they actually like give you valuable info. And like, Pam Maldonado, like, I know you've networked with, like, you know, you're friends with her, whatever. I don't know if I've tailed any of her picks, but I like what she puts out because it's actually pretty good. Like, she knows what she's talking about, and, you know, I'd like seeing it, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's
those are the people I like.
Yeah.
People who like create content or at least like put out good information. It's the people who just like every tweet is just like their next 10 unit banger. It's annoying. Yeah. Create some actual content.
Diamond emoji, fire emoji.
That's what Master Foe, who I have no idea who that guy. I love.
Well, he's the master of second half bets.
Master Foe. I don't know if I know this guy. I gotta look this guy up.
Yeah, the Foe master. So he went on. So he went on a run one time, 30-2 on second half bets. But what he'll do a lot of times, he's pretty transparent, and he bets on he'll bet anything, like Korean baseball, Korean basketball, like all the overseas shit. Like, he'll bet it overnight. But he always does shit like that, like out of nowhere. He goes like, he'll put like all these emojis and stars and whatever, and then like sneak a play like right in the middle with like more emojis and shit, because he's just making fun of these people. And like, he'll go around on like, he'll probably do it this weekend right before the championship games. He'll go and start retweeting the public side that someone's like 10 unit play Chiefs, 10 like can't lose parlay this, and he'll just start retweeting it all. And it never hits. It's always going the other way.
My favorite one now that I've seen a lot, and I kind of made fun of it this past weekend, are people who are like 1,000 likes and retweets, and I'll release my lock for today. It's like, dude, and they, you know what? Fair enough. They get likes and retweets. I don't know who these morons are giving them likes. It's like, yes, give me an average bet that has a 50% chance of hitting. Yes, I need it. It's like the bet that he's hiding is the same chance of hitting as any other bet. Flip a coin.
Right. Yeah, the amount of people out there that are just crazy. Like, and then the ones that, like, I know you've talked about this before, how, you know, betting on emotion and feeling is stupid, right? And you get people like, so in particular, I saw this tweet the other day. I didn't save it, but I should have, but I wrote it down. It was from Mike Florio on Pro Football Focus or Pro Football Network, whatever it is.
Nana Florio.
Yeah, Nana Florio. All he does is bitch and complain about everything. He made this like big long thing about why, I think it was like why Tampa Bay will win. And it was all about like, well, it's Tom Brady's getting older. Everyone's doing that. And I read through it and I was like, why do football analysts, and I get it, it's their job, right? Their job, they're analysts, like they analyze and comment, but like, why do they think that stuff like that actually has anything to do with anything really? You know, it's like, I just don't get it.
Well, dude, you know, we had a roommate one time where he would, and he wasn't wagering on the games, but he would give his opinion. And he'd be like, well, I like the Rams tonight because Seattle will probably beat San Francisco at 4. And then the Rams won't be as motivated to play all that hard because they don't have to win the game.
That's fair. That's it. That's a lock.
You can't lose.
Fire emoji.
No, it's I mean, I could rant about this for hours, guys, because this is stuff obviously I'm looking at all day, every day. And I think a big product of guys like Florio and other talking heads who are on TV doing these pregame shows, you know, halftime shows. I think they're getting exposed by the internet, because back in the day, these are the only analysts you could ever hear of. So like, you didn't know that there was better information out there, but now these are just old farts who just say the same thing. They clearly, for the most part, majority of them do very little homework, and they just spout off just these narratives that anyone can come up with. But now that the internet exists, and you see actual thoughtful, responses about some of these games that are backed by analytics, that are backed by statistics, it makes these guys look like absolute morons. So, I mean, I talk about this all the time. People who they justify their bets based on, and at the end of the day, I don't give a shit. Bet whatever you want to base it on. But if your job is to give betting advice and you're saying that you're going to bet on the Bucks because it's Tom Brady in the playoffs, it's like, what does that mean? Has Tom Brady ever lost a playoff game before? He's lost plenty of playoff games.
I think he's lost like 15.
Yeah, and some of these analysts, it's like they don't know that statistics exist. Like, sometimes they'll be watching an NFL game, and then the guy will be like, "Oh, this Packers defense is really one of the best defenses in the NFL." It's like, guys, you can look at analytics. They're 20th in opponent yards per play. They're like 23rd in third down defense. They're the second worst run defense in the NFL. Where, like, you're just saying this out of nowhere that they're a good defense is factually not true.
Or this year with the Steelers, right?
Right. The Steelers.
Like, it's the Steelers defense.
Yeah.
It's like they had TJ Watt, and then that's really
nothing. That's a perfect example. The Packers weren't a great example because they still had a pretty decent defense. Steelers was because the narrative about the Steelers year in and year out is that they're the best defense in the NFL. And a lot of years it's true. This year they were one of the worst. But I'd be watching the Steelers games and be like, "Oh, this Steelers defense," or the narrative going into the playoff was, I forget who said it now, was like, "Nobody wants to face this Steelers team in the playoffs right now with their defense." It's like, I'm sure any of all the NFL playoff teams that are in there, the one you would want to face is the Steelers. They stink.
Yeah.
So yeah, just those kind of like those narratives really annoy me, because I mean, we have statistics now, we have the internet. I mean, I can fact check these things that guys are saying and bring up numbers to prove them wrong, but it's gonna change over time.
I think right now it's like a weird in-between period, because you have these guys that have been analysts forever that give their take on the game and then say, this is who's going to win. But now, because sports betting has become so mainstream, like they literally put the spreads and the totals on like the graphics now. It's like they try and take their old school, like, well, let's look at how this game breaks down. And instead of being like, I think because of all this, Tampa Bay is probably going to win the game. Now it's like, well, I think because of all this, I like Tampa Bay -4.5. And it's like, those two things aren't the same thing.
Right.
Like those are very different things. You don't get to like analyze how you normally analyze things off of like emotions and feelings, and then apply that to a spread that's made by someone who's way fucking smarter than you. And if anything else, probably a computer in Vegas.
Yeah, these pregame shows, they need to stop just picking who's going to win straight up, because it's like, oh, the Rams are taking on the Jaguars. All five of our analysts are picking the Rams to win. What do you guys think? It's like, oh, the Rams are 16-point favorites. Bold call, guys. Like, they need to start picking against the spread or something, because especially like Thursday Night Football, a lot of the matchups are like very lopsided. So like every time it's like, find out who the analysts are going to pick. Oh, shocking. They're all picking a 10-point favorite to win outright. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not good content at this point, because people know what a point spread is. They know how big of a favorite one team is over the other. So picking a -800 money line favorite is it's not very entertaining at this point.
Yeah. Or like switch to something similar to like a fantasy football model where like you pick one extraneous, or like a prop bet, right? Like say in a game where it's like Rams versus Jaguars, it's like, well, the Rams are 16-point favorites. The total is, 45. And it's like, all right, well, I like Cooper Kupp's over in receptions. Sure. Or, or like I like DJ Chark's over in reception, like do something different. Like give me something different. Don't be like, I think the Jaguars are going to win.
Yeah. Because actually, like kind of picking the underdog to win in those situations are almost like just as ridiculous as picking the favorite. Because I mean, it does happen, but
yeah. I mean, just ask the Jaguars. They beat the Bills.
And the Colts.
They did beat the Bills and the Colts.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it. They had to win that game too.
Yeah. And they almost beat the Patriots too.
That Jaguars Colts game I found so funny. I was on the Jaguars to cover, so I was happy. But like that's a perfect example of like all these handicaps were all like, Colts got to win this game. They got to win this game. They're going to be motivated. It's a must-win game for these guys. Going to bet on the Colts. It's a must-win.
Yeah, it's like some of that. So we have a buddy who's an intense gambler, and he
reckless though, reckless, real reckless.
Yes, very reckless. But he doesn't use stats really almost ever. He almost purely goes off of what he calls feel.
Great. A tried and true method.
Yeah. Sometimes it works out really well. Like sometimes he'll hit this ridiculous bet and make like thousands of dollars off of it.
Yeah.
But then like over the course of the next weeks, it goes away and then it's a roller coaster ride, right?
Yeah. He bets like lottery tickets and he knows that too. Like he's not going to sit there, grind out, over 75 bets, a 55% win percentage and be up 8 or 9 units. Right. He's playing it for the lottery. And that's why he he'll birdcage stuff. He'll take alternate lines. It's parlay this, teaser that. And it's all these different legs. And then when he hits. And he's bought himself 2 Toyota Camrys this year. I don't know what happened to the first one or why he needed to buy the second one. The transmission might've fell out of the first one. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then he was telling me that whatever game the Eagles played the Cowboys, he was up almost like 5 figures and couldn't lose the rest of the day because of the way that he did. I think basically I think he had an A&R like all the way through like 39 legs or something. So it's like he had won what he had won to that point and couldn't lose anymore. So he didn't end up winning because Philly got blown out by Dallas that week. But yeah, that's what he'll do too, is he'll be, even sometimes if we go to the sports book and someone's sitting there in line and they go, there's no way the 49ers can lose today. He will just bet against the 49ers because that one jackass said that.
And listen, I know there are some people who play like a very lottery ticket style of sports betting, and that's fine. But as long as those people recognize that that's what it is a lottery ticket, and they kind of bet within their means, and they know that they're just going to do it for fun and try to hit a big payout, that's fine. What bothers me is the people who like try to like sell their picks or like market themselves as a professional bettor, and then they just give out parlays all the time. It's like it's proven that parlays are like how sports books make all their money. Now they're fun. I was on a parlay this past week. It's fun to do every once in a while, but not a long-term winning strategy.
Well, that was it might have been Illinois. I think in revenue, I could be off on what these figures were, but they might have done $74 million in revenue, or maybe profits, not tax money. And 44 million of that was parlays.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing about these guys who just bet based on feel is that sometimes they're going to win, because at the end of the day, it's luck. You can look at stats, you can handicap things the right way, and all you're trying to do is turn like a 50% probability to like a 53% probability. Guys who just fire and free will based on feel, they're basically just flipping a coin. So, I mean, they can still get hot. They can still go on runs. They can still win big parlays. It's possible. But long-term, it's never a winning strategy long-term.
Yeah. And so that was the reason why I brought him up to begin with, was he was on the Jaguars against the Colts at the end of the season. And he was like, the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2012. Carson Wentz is a bum. He doesn't care, all this stuff. The Jaguars are going to win. And we all laughed at him. And in the back of my head, I was like,
he's gonna be fucking right.
He's going to be right.
And
obviously,
when he takes the -7 on the alternate line, he's going to hit that too.
Yeah. Yeah, he did, didn't he?
He took -7 alternate line.
He does dumb shit like
that.
He does
such a bold move. I respect it.
He does shit like that all the time. But like when it hits, it's like, God damn.
The Chiefs Bills game, he was on over 68.5.
He got 24 points in
the one this past Sunday night.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Took the alternate over. Was it 66 or 68.5?
I don't even remember. I think it was 14 points added. Was it a 54.5 total, or was it less?
No, I think it's 54. It was 54.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so it was 14 points added.
Yeah. So he hit the over 68.5 just off of like the wild ending of the game in overtime. He went over.
I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I had a $25. Well, I never said online how much it was, but I guess I just admitted it. I had a $25 for Moneyline underdog parlay on the weekend's games, and Bills up 13 or up with 13 seconds left. I started celebrating, made the video, and then Patrick Mahomes
I saw the videos.
Yeah.
I watched the videos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, a four leg money line underdog parlay. I mean, $25 is the most I'm ever gonna put on something like that. But I mean, it still paid out 1,000, and it lost because 13 seconds. So that's gonna haunt me. I will say though, and I didn't tweet this out. I hedged a little bit when the Bills went up with like 2 minutes left in the game. Like right at the start of the flurry, I got Chiefs plus 115. I put 200 on it. So I didn't walk away empty-handed, but I still lost probably $750 on the Chiefs scoring with 13 seconds. Brutal. I officially hate the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes just because of that now. Whenever I see them, I'm going to think about that parlay losing, and it's gonna leave a sour taste in my mouth.
Well, it's just more fuel on the fire, right? Everyone already hates them because of his brother and his wife. So now they cost you money.
I didn't like them, but I always kind of like the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, but that definitely left us. I'm mad at them now.
Not anymore. And
I will be betting against them this weekend because of that.
So I wanted to bring up, because I remember, because I listened all the way through the season. So what you mentioned preseason, you kind of brought up from time to time during the season. So we'll leave the Cleveland Browns out of it, but going to this weekend, almost everything that you had been saying preseason may have disappeared during the season, but it all came back this weekend. Like, you were talking Cincinnati offensive line before the season even started. Yeah. Now, Chase, great player, but you were right. They never got offensive line help. They got sacked 9 times. If you don't play the fucking helpless Titans, that probably doesn't work out. Speaking of, Titans are frauds.
Titans are frauds.
Tannehill has to go win a game. Yeah, okay. See you later. Tampa Bay, great against the run, secondary. Cooper Kupp, you're just gonna let him just go. Like, you're gonna put a safety on the Triple Crown winner. Are you shitting me?
Arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. You're just gonna leave him with your safety. Yeah, go do that.
So I just thought it was interesting seeing some of your your preseason breakdowns, and then Steelers were another one too. You saw that from a mile away. It was interesting because at parts during the season, like Tampa Bay locked up their secondary. It's like, oh well, maybe they're gonna play defense, and it's like Cincinnati offensive line put a lot of makeup on that thing, and Jamar Chase running wild makes it appear as though they didn't give up like 5th most sacks in the league or something. People forget that stuff. So I guess credit to you for the preseason breakdown, and when the games really came down to it and when it really mattered, it all just kind of still showed up, even though from time to time it may have been hidden in the weeds.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A funny point that, it's funny that you did remember me talking about the Bengals and their offensive line. But even though I was kind of right about the offensive line, I was kind of wrong in saying, because I thought they shouldn't have drafted Jamar Chase. They should have taken an offensive lineman. In hindsight, I was wrong. Jamar Chase is clearly a generational level talent. Now, with that being said, now their biggest weakness is their offensive line. So now it's this offseason, it's all right. Last season, you got your stud. You're filled with weapons, but you need to get an offensive line. So I even though I was kind of right about their offensive line, Jamar Chase has kind of made up for it. And I thought that was an idiotic decision at the time. But if I could redraft, or if we went back in time, I'd say it was the right decision. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what happens when I'm a very numbers-based handicapper, statistics-based handicapper, and over the long term, a big sample size, the numbers are going to start and showing up in the results. And one thing that a lot of people don't think about in the NFL is it's such a short season. It's long in terms of time, but it's 17 game regular season. Go look at the NBA standings 17 games into them. Go look at the MLB standings 17 games into them. Things are wild. So in an NFL season where only 17 games happen, you'll get teams that like the Titans, who weren't a good football team, but had the best record in the AFC because things kind of bounced their way. They played against the Rams, and Matt Stafford threw basically 2 pick sixes. One was a pick six. The other went down to the 1 yard line, ended up getting punched in for the touchdown. So you just have these teams who do the right thing at the right moment. Balls kind of bounce their way. They win a couple games they shouldn't. They beat the bad teams. But at the end of the day, over long-term sample size, the numbers and the stats are going to show up. So, and you guys know this, the stat I bring up all the time, net yards per play. A big reason why I was cheering for the Bills to win, because I was about to plant my net yards per play flag into the ground and wave it in everyone's face on Twitter, because the top 3 teams in net yards per play heading into this past weekend in the NFL were the Bills, Rams, and 49ers. So the final 4 teams could have been 3 of the top teams in net yards per play. So yeah. I was about to get pretty arrogant with that, but then the Bills because the Chiefs in net yards per play are like average at best, and I can't really wave that flag anymore. But that's why I'm a believer of the numbers, because everything else is speculation, everything else is subjective opinion, and sometimes those opinions are right, but you can't prove it unless you have some sort of number to back it up. Yeah,
I think we see that a lot, us like being Patriots fans. Is there have been so many years where, the team might have a great record. They might go 12-4. They might go, 11-5, and then they lose in the first round of the playoffs. And we're like, well, what the fuck? But if you think about it, the way I always look at it is when you get to the playoffs, there's no more bad teams. So your flaws are almost, I don't want to say like exponentially worse, because they're not worse. They're just more visible, right? So during the regular season, someone's got to play the Jaguars. Someone's got to play the Jets. You know what I mean? Like someone has to play these bad teams, and you're going to win a lot of those games, ideally. And then when you get to the playoffs, you got a team like they're deep in the playoffs, right? This is the divisional round. Like these teams are good. So your flaws are, more exposed or more apt to be exposed, I think. And I think, like Bob said, you nailed it. You were straight on between, the Bengals offensive line. And I mean, the Bills game was just fluky, right? There was literally 24 points scored in the last 1 minute and 53 seconds or something like that. Like that's wild.
I will say one thing though, that I got wrong with the Bills, and this is something that I'm going to try to fix my handicapping next NFL season, is I didn't take into big enough consideration the Bills' strength of schedule. Because the reason why I was on them this weekend was their defense. Their defense sucked this weekend. They got torched. Yeah. So really my handicap was wrong. And I didn't look back at how their defense fared against the better teams. And I just kind of rode their defense, which was a mistake. But I mean, another thing that happens is just like sometimes the better team just doesn't win. Games are 60 minutes long. That's not a long time, especially in the NFL. How many drives do you get? Like 8 drives, maybe. I mean, you have one that ends in an interception, one that ends because of a bad penalty. The opposite happens for the other team's offenses, a dropped pass here, a holding call here, and then all of a sudden it's middle of the fourth quarter and you're down 14 points. I mean, weird things happen in a 60-minute sample size. The Bills lost to the Jaguars this year. Like that's never should have happened, but weird things happen. And that's sports. That's why we love it. That's why we watch it. And that's why we bet on it. It's entertaining.
Yeah. I got that hate from some Buffalo or from some Kansas City fans, I think, when I tweeted at you about the Kansas City defense. And it's my own fault. I was just focused on the Kansas City defense. And when you replied back and was like, well, I can't call them frauds because of their offense. And I was like, duh. Like that was dumb. Like that was just me not really like paying close attention. Like I had an agenda and I wanted to push it.
I do too. Well, I do kind of half agree. I think they are fraudulent in a sense, but yeah, their offense is so good that I reserve my F word for the true frauds out there. Like I was going to write an article today. I didn't get time to it. So I'm going to write it probably tomorrow. So sneak peek, but I'm about to officially announce the New York Rangers as frauds. So keep an eye out for that, because that's probably not going to go well for me. I've already made enemies with one New York fan base, and now I'm going after the other. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I reserve the F word for the true frauds out there. And I can't call a Patrick Mahomes led team frauds, because whatever the it factor is, that unmeasurable it factor, he has.
Got it.
So
yeah, he definitely has it. So yeah, that was my fault. That's my bad. But the
That's all
amount
right.
of
You're still learning. You
Their
tried to call
defense,
people
their
frauds
defense
and you
are
were just
frauds,
wrong.
though.
the
Their
amount
defense
of
are frauds.
Oh yeah. The amount of Kansas City fans though that like started like message like coming at me being like, well, look at Buffalo's strength of schedule. That's nothing to look at either. And I was like, yeah, I know, but statistically, like if both teams played not an easy strength of schedule,
Right.
Buffalo's statistics defensively are like no worse than 7th in any category. And
Right.
3 categories, they're actually ranked first.
Yeah.
And Kansas City is like in the 20s.
Right.
So it's like if they both play cupcakes, well, at least one of them is ranked very high in the NFL and the other one isn't. So
right, if they all played the
damn.
exact same schedule against the exact same teams, the Bills defense still would have ranked higher than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But I mean that game literally just came down to whoever had the ball last night. I think the overtime rules are kind of dumb at this point, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the Bills were winning with 13 seconds left. So, like, any Chiefs fan who's like, yeah, the Chiefs are better. It's like, I don't know, man. It's a back and forth game that literally went into overtime. So, I mean, I had a couple of people chirp me for my Bills bet, like Chiefs fans, like, oh, that's what you get for betting against the Chiefs. It's like, dude, like the game went to overtime. Like my bet was winning with 13 seconds left. I don't think it was a bad bet, but
it was the right bet. It just didn't hit.
Right. And that's what happens. And also that I mean, sports fans, there's a certain level of sports fan that I just can't stand. And I learned this again this year with the Titans fans, that you just can't say anything bad about their team or else like they just come at you in droves. And most of the people are people who like have like players from the team they cheer for, like in like their, like that's their Twitter profile picture. And that's like their banner is like a picture of Derrick Henry. It's like, come on guys, get a life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Pats game in Nashville, the 2018, and even then, it's like there were people around us, they were cool, and like we walk in there with like the idea, it's like, dude, we're in Nashville, like how good of fans can they really be? And like a lot of the people around us were like, oh well, this might be the last time we see Brady, so that's why we're here. And on the way out, you know, they speed bagged us like bad. It was they might have returned the opening kickoff to like the 3.
Was that in the playoffs?
No, this was a regular season game. Because then the next year was Brady's last game at Foxborough when they lost on a pick 6. But like, you know, on the way out, you know, they won again. They throttled us and it was over early.
My drunk ass was yelling, "Let's go Red Sox!"
Yeah, but they're like,
because they just
like, you guys should
Series.
really learn to lose better. I just turn around and I'm like, why? We don't do it all that often. We ain't from fucking Nashville. But
how do you guys feel about your Patriots right now?
Mel, go ahead.
Not good, but also I don't think it's like doom and gloom, right? I think that we are not close to the top of the league, right? So Mac Jones is a rookie. We don't know what he's going to be. He was okay this year. He looked really good at times. He looked really bad at times. I mean, find me any rookie that's like other than Patrick Mahomes, right? So you can throw him out there.
He didn't start his rookie year.
I know, but you call his second season, if you call it his rookie year. I mean, he won the MVP in his first year starting in the NFL. Like that literally almost never happens.
That's not going to happen again.
But like find me any good player their rookie year or their first year as a starter that is phenomenal, and you can't, right? So we don't know about Mac Jones. He might be good, he might not be good. I think looking at the competition in the AFC, it's like right now you are a 6 or 7 seed. You know what I mean? Like
it's a tough place to be in the AFC right now.
The Bills are better than you. The Chiefs are better than you. The Chargers should be better than you, but they haven't been able to find a good coach in like 30 years. So you're safe there. But like they're way more like the Chargers are way more talented than the Patriots.
Better. All young quarterbacks too. All guys that you're gonna have to face for like 15 years.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not looking good.
The opposite is true in the NFC, which gives me a little bit of hope with the Falcons. Is Aaron Rodgers is almost gone. Tom Brady's almost gone. Drew Brees retired last year. Hopefully. I mean, I tweeted it today. I think if Tom Brady retires this offseason, Falcons might be the favorite to win the NFC South. Probably not, but I'll tell myself that.
They're going to have to
Sean
keep
Payton retired today.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit to you guys, though, I very much enjoyed the Patriots losing in the playoffs by 1,000,000 points, and I laughed the whole game.
I did too, actually. It was a joke.
It's something, it was very cathartic for me. And then to watch Tom Brady lose the week after was even more cathartic. So I'm in a good place right now. Although if Tom Brady made that comeback, I would have questioned the reality we live in.
Yeah. So again, in our group text for our friends, we were going nuts with this, being like, Tom Brady made a deal with the devil. Like, I think I tweeted it at one point. I was drinking during the game, so I was like, Tom Brady made a deal with the devil, and then the devil goes, "Oh, dude, I made this deal and you fumbled the ball. Don't worry, I got your back." But people are gonna get sketchy because, like, after he fumbled, there was the other it was a fumble.
It was the snap over that Stafford wasn't ready for the snap.
Yeah. So I'm tweeting out being like, all right, Satan's not doing a good job of making his end of the bargain discreet here.
The worst part is my dad's a diehard Rams fan, so it almost came to fruition that the 28-3 was against my Falcons and the 27-3 game was against my dad's Rams. And his Rams are already 0-2 against Brady in the Super Bowl. My team's 0-1 against Brady in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is not welcome in the MacMillan household. Like, he haunts us. My dad was texting me the whole time, even because me and him both, just our teams have just broken our hearts our entire lives between the Maple Leafs, and he does have one Super Bowl with the Rams, but like, it was still like a 20-point lead, and he was still like, I don't feel comfortable with this. Watch, something's gonna go wrong. And then after every fumble, after every bad snap, he would just text me about it, and it was funny because funny looking back at it. Wasn't funny at the time.
Yeah.
It reality.
It really was like fake, right? It
made no sense. I mean, it seems the amount of things that had to go Tom Brady's way, and it's happened so many times in his career in the playoffs, it mathematically doesn't make sense. Like, the only way they're back in that game is if there's multiple penalties, if there's the Akers fumble on the 1-yard line, if there's a snap over Tom Brady or Matt Stafford's head, if there's the other Akers fumble, if there's a Cooper Kupp fumble, if there's certain penalties that go against the Rams. It's just like if you actually think about what the probability of all those things to happen would have been minuscule, and that's happened several times in his career, and that is why I hate Tom Brady.
And it almost happened again. It came very close.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Patriots looking forward, I felt better until this weekend where I watched Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes, and it's like, holy shit. We don't have the firepower to go against that. And we currently, as constituted, don't have the firepower to stop that. And without knowing, just speculating, it seems like Belichick, including this year, didn't respect Josh Allen's ability to throw. And oh my God, did he absolutely burn the Patriots defense. And some of the all 22 video, it is absurd. The throws he was making. Just a couple clips, because people were posting.
I respect it.
People were posting some of the clips because we have a second-year undrafted cornerback, Miles Bryant, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Miles Bryant can't cover, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this," and it's like the windows that Josh Allen was throwing. No one, you could put friggin' prime Ty Law mixed with prime Darrelle Revis back there, and they weren't stopping those throws. They were perfect. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I think they need to shift their attitude a little bit and accept that the competition in the AFC is fucking legit and figure some stuff out. I think defensively, if the rocket scientist would leave the fucking building, I know he's not a coordinator anymore, Patricia, but he's in the building and his defense stinks of 2017 again. So,
no, but dude, he has a pencil behind his ear though. He's good.
A golf pencil.
He's responsible for the greatest play in Super Bowl history. So he was the one out there making the pick. And
yeah.
He'll never bring that up either.
He's very humble.
Need a more humble guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think they can win with Mac Jones and the scheme that they run on offense. It's just I'm concerned now watching the offenses that are now in the AFC because those are explosive.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be hard to win a Super Bowl without an explosive offense nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me,
unless you really just shut them down, unless you can come up with a defense that plays disciplined with speed on defense. And I know that requires drafting well, which hasn't happened. So I'm asking for a lot, but that's the path that I could see closing the gap while having Mac Jones, because Mac Jones is not the other three. He isn't, and he won't be. But the offense can work provided the defense does its job.
Yeah. I think looking at it, how it is and how things are currently kind of constituted and projected, like in the next couple of years, if the Patriots are going to have any sort of shot on any sort of like deep playoff run, they're going to need a 2018 Bruins style of playoffs, right? Where the Tampa Bay Lightning lose in the first round. They pull the Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah. So Tampa and Washington got eliminated.
Yeah. Like they're going to need some goofy shit to happen. They're going to need the Chiefs to get knocked. Like the Chiefs are going to have to be like
Boston sports fans and your luck. Must be nice.
Yeah. So we drew Columbus, then Carolina.
Yep.
To the Stanley Cup, and then couldn't win it at home.
We couldn't fucking figure
out one game at
St. Louis.
Shame.
I know.
If there's one fan base I was really my Siri just turned on. If there's one fan base that I really want to see win another championship, it's the Boston fan base. To be fair, it's just a tortured fan base.
Yeah. You don't know how hard we have it, pal.
Yeah, yeah. Just win one for Boston, would they? Come on.
It's been so long.
Yeah, exactly. Only been about 25 championships in my lifetime, and I've witnessed 0. And then the Leafs finally had a chance. Leafs finally got some luck with the pandemic where they only had to face Canadian teams until the semifinal last year. And then we blew a 3-1 series lead to the fucking Canadians, who are literally the worst team in the NHL this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That was tough.
It's tough.
Do you got anything else? Do you want to start wrapping this up? It's been about an hour.
Yeah, we can get into some final thoughts. My final thoughts kind of on the same topic anyway.
Oh, all right. Then I'll bring it up then. If your final thoughts on something else. Yeah, I'll say it before we get to final thoughts. So I'm going to throw this out there.
I don't even know what you're saying. Okay. I don't even know what you're going with.
I saw recently, I'm making a pitch. Bob has no idea this is happening right now. I'm going to make a pitch because I texted him this the other day. So you said you were looking to start a golf podcast, right?
I shot him. Yeah.
Oh, you did reach out to him. Yeah. All right, cool. All right.
Go ahead, though. Keep talking.
Am I trying to make things public that shouldn't be?
Go for it.
All right. No. All right. So
go ahead.
Bob, great golfer. He's actually the reason why I got back into golf. I golfed a lot when I was a kid and then just stopped and then, got back into it a few years ago. Super knowledgeable and also most likely probably slightly autistic too. So when it comes to like statistics and remembering stuff, I think he's great. Like the fact that he remembered what you said about the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line in like July, I've literally sat there with him and he can go back and name every Masters champion until 1982.
Walrus.
Like yeah.
Can you actually do that? Name every Masters champion, go back that far?
Yeah, it gets a little goofy in the mid 80s for me, but
2004,
Phil.
Wasn't it Mike Weir or was that 2003? Did I get my Canadian wrong?
2003.
Was that 2003? Look, I just fucked myself trying to burn you. Look at that.
Back-to-back lefties though.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you said you were trying to start a golf podcast. You're looking for it. I think you guys would be great. That's why I was just trying to, facilitate there.
Well, I will say Thursday afternoon, I have an interview set up with Graham Dillette, the legendary Canadian golfer Graham Dillette. So if that doesn't go through, then maybe we can set something up. But it's tough competition at Grand Gillette right now, a guy on PJ Tour. But I don't know how interested he is.
Yeah.
Graham Gillette, strong beard, no beard.
Yeah.
PGA Tour golfer. I don't know. I mean, but
No, I know. I totally just put you on the spot. It was partially a goof, but also
Yeah.
like
We're
I think it would be, we're here, right? Why not take a shot?
Yeah, I like talking to you guys anyways. If I have a golf podcast, I'm going to have you guys on just as guests, if not co-hosts. So look forward to that. But yeah, right now I'm in talks with Graham to let a little Canadian duo, me and him. We'll see if that ends up getting sorted out. So I think that'd be pretty cool, but we'll see how it goes. Nothing official yet. Don't even know if I should have brought it up, but it's too late.
Yeah, whatever. The people will find out eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I can snag Graham Gillette, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, this doesn't air until Thursday anyway, so.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
You're good. You got time.
If the meeting doesn't go well, I'll just tell you guys, just to message you guys and tell you guys to bleep his name out or something.
Yeah, C&D. C&D.
Yeah. So he made me sign an NDA. So can you guys change that episode?
Yeah.
Yes. Graham DeFett.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So yeah, I guess we can get to final thoughts then. We can start wrapping everything up.
So my final thought, Leo, he's 2-0. So Ian, if you've seen the picture on Twitter, my dog's been making,
isn't it? Yes.
Oh yeah,
I think I saw that.
He's been making picks, and we have an airtight system. I look at him, I go, hey, do you want to bet on the Kansas City Buffalo game? He'll bark at me. That's a yes. So then I look at him again. I'm like, do we like KC? He barks. I go, what? No, you don't like Buffalo. Doesn't say anything. I'm like, you sure? KC barks at me. I go, no, on Buffalo. It's just looking at me. And then, I mean, it's been favorites because he picked Georgia in the national title game too.
He's a square.
Same process. I said it. He's not afraid of the square bet. But he must have been hearing all the people at the gym, because all day of that national championship game, I asked, I go, who do we like today? They're like, oh, Alabama. Oh, I can't bet against Saban. Oh, Alabama getting points. And I was just like sitting there and I'm like, Georgia's going to fucking win this thing, aren't they? But yeah, so now Leo, he's 2-0 making picks, square bets. He's taking favorites, short favorites. We'll see if he has anything this weekend. It's just me and him. So we'll have a lot of breaking down to do. Only 2 games.
My question for you would be, can I get a discount on his VIP package?
Absolutely.
All right, sweet.
You get one as a foundations member.
Perfect.
It's only 2 milk bones.
He accepts belly rubs, head scratches, treats, and your attention.
And also Ethereum.
Yes, and tips can be paid in Shiba Inu coin.
Yeah.
He's friends with the Shibas.
All right, Ian, do you have a final thought? Anything you would like to say to wrap things up?
Oh, geez. I don't know. You guys have any golf picks for this weekend?
Not yet. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Well, dude, tournaments tomorrow, dude.
I know.
Tomorrow. So I guess by the time this airs,
we'll already be in it.
So the answer is no. Then I just started a new job at a place that I absolutely hate. Luckily, no one there listens to this, and there's somewhere between a 40 and a 60% chance that I actually quit tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good, huh?
Yeah, it's that good.
Just start selling VIP packages on Twitter, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, you get all your receipts out from the MLB season. Put together
a few emojis out there.
Put together a nice little package, and call them absolute blowout win. Oh no, sorry, absolute blowout winners. That's already been used.
Steve Stevens.
Yeah, Steve Stevens took that one. So yeah, you got to come up with something catchy for the people.
Yeah. So like I said, admittedly, I have not had any free time like I did at my old job. So I haven't been able to do any of that stuff. So the answer is no, I don't. I do know that obviously Torrey Pines is long, super long. They have narrow fairways. So unfortunately, I don't have anything yet.
Bryson DeChambeau, unless right before you guys record this, if he's not in the hunt, then just bleep this out. But Bryson DeChambeau is going to win.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm probably going to fire an outright on Finau. Now, so that doesn't sound like me though, because I'm a new man here, because I hate Tony Finau. I crush that guy because he doesn't win. I crush that guy fairly and unfairly because he chokes tournaments away, but also people give him more credit than he deserves because he doesn't win. But he typically plays well at Torrey. He mashes the ball. His approach play is pretty good. His putting is abysmal. So my outright with him is sort of gambling on the fact that putting on Poa gets a little kind of goofy, especially like the West Coast, like the West Coast majors and the West Coast events. It's not always the best putters kind of there. Like you can kind of get away with it. And then I'm gonna look. I gotta go back to it after this anyway. I like Leishman top 20. I think I like Taylor Gooch top 20, and I can't remember my third guy. I had 3 guys that I like top 20. Based on Molinari top 20, which I hate that fucking pick because I hate that fucking guy. I don't care how
week last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he finished 6th. He hits the ball reasonably far and he's putting really well right now. So with a good course history, I like Molinari, and his odds definitely, that T6 definitely affected his odds. They were probably going to be, for like a top 20 on him, it's probably 3-1 right now. And I think he probably would have been at 6-1 without that finish, but the odds don't come out that early. So it's not like you're losing anything there, but that's who I was looking at. I mean, I'll probably fucking put something out there. Why not?
Yeah. I think if I had to just go right off the top of my head, knowing the course, I'd probably, I don't know about outright, but Jonathan Vegas, not Jonathan.
He's a sneaky play this week.
Yeah. I know he hits well. I know he's an accurate driver too. I'm just
very
trying to
good
think
driver. Yeah, long
with narrow fairways and long, like someone like him, or like a Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler hits bombs. He might not be as accurate, but I truthfully don't know what his putting looks like this year, but I think in the past he's been halfway decent.
Well, that was one of my hot takes last year was Morikawa, because he is so bad at putting. He won the Open Championship, and then in 2020 he won at Harding Park. Slower greens, typically bumpier greens. I'd have to go and actually see how he did at Augusta or the Memorial. I know he won the Memorial. He didn't win the Memorial. He won the week before the Memorial, where they didn't quite dial the place up yet. It was like the workday charity something.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So a lot of Morikawa's wins have come on courses that aren't what you would consider like immaculate or Bermuda, or like they come on what are typically a slower green or a bumpier green or something where he doesn't get burned as bad with whatever makes his putting so poor.
I will say one thing. I didn't mean to derail this because this is supposed to be final thoughts. And now we've gone on a huge.
We do this all the time.
This is perfect.
But my strategy when it comes to bad putters has actually changed this year. Where before, if there was good ball strikers but guys who just couldn't putt, I would not bet on them whatsoever. But guys like Hideki Matsuyama at the majors has changed my opinion. Colin Morikawa at these majors. I think it's a better strategy to bet on good ball strikers who are normally bad putters and hope they get hot with their putters, as opposed to good putters betting on them and hoping they get hot with their irons. I think it's a lot more. I think the majority of winners are good ball strikers who happen to have a good weekend putting. I hit Matsuyama right there a couple weeks ago, and he had the best putting round of his career, or tournament of his career. And I did not bet. I would have never bet on Matsuyama because he's such a bad putter, but I was like, his ball striking is good, weaker field. He played decent the week before. It was a ball striker's course. I'll take a shot on him, and he happened to have a really good week putting. So I used to value putting a lot, and now not so much. If if the guy is is a good ball striker. Obviously, if he's not a top tier ball striker, then he's not going to have a good ball striking and a good putting week. But sometimes guys just get hot with their putter.
Yeah, that's so that's one of the prevailing theories with actually playing golf. Mark Brody wrote a book, Every Shot Counts, where he actually invented strokes gained, and he dispels the drive for show, putt for dough theory. And he basically says whoever puts the best out of the best ball strikers most of the time is going to win.
There you go.
And that's just what the data shows. Like even Tiger Woods, who's historically one of the best putters ever, strokes gained statistically, he has made up so few strokes putting compared to every other aspect of his game. And when he wins, it's usually not because of the putter, but what do we remember? Putt going in, him going nuts. So it's the perception of what we see versus what is actually happening out there.
For sure.
And that's data that's out there, and people are using that, and like people are using it like me. And I just play like amateur tournaments in the state, and with like sometimes even with guys getting strokes, whatever. And like we're all starting to like use that strategy stuff, and it's like still on, you still hear it with the analysts and the whatever, and it's like it just doesn't putt well. Like you're gonna hear it, Zalatoris. Like I don't know if Zalatoris can do it because he can't putt right now, and it's like if he hits the ball well enough, he will take care of himself because he's such a good ball striker.
Way to just bring it around. What an expert job of bringing it around. And what the whole theme of the podcast is to not listen to these analysts and their overdone just like sayings that people say, because the statistics show a lot of the time it's not true. Trust the numbers, not just some random thing that people say. Like another one in the NFL playoffs. Oh, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. Dating back like the past 20 years, when there's a matchup in the playoffs where a team is 2-0 against the other, they're like 10-6 against them. The team that the team that won the first 2 games, like 10-6. It's just factually not true, but everyone says it. Hard to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's not impossible.
People say.
Yeah. Like maybe it would be hard to do it in the NFL in 3 consecutive weeks, but like that's not the case. Like there's so much that changes throughout the season.
Right. And drive for show, putt for dough, which is something people say, so they accept it. But now we kind of have the analytics and the numbers. That's just factually not true.
Yeah. Oh, Bryson, bad for the game.
Yeah.
Oh, I really wish when they had artistry in the game, hitting 4 irons into a green.
Yeah. But then you ask them what
pitching wedge is the loft of my 6th iron.
You ask them, what their thoughts on Tiger is. And they're like, oh no, Tiger's incredible. They literally changed the layout of golf courses because of Tiger.
Yep.
Like they had to change it because he could hit the ball too far. And they were like, we need to add trees, move trees, change fairways. Like we need to redesign these courses.
Augusta National has a tree branch that comes in for cable for the tournament and gets retracted for regular play.
On 13, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't want people cutting the corner.
They literally dropped the tree branch down for the PGA tournament. Like that's wild.
That's insane.
So, all right. So my final thought, I guess, you know what? The theme has been, I already shot a shot for Bob. Let me try this again. I got a question for you.
All right.
I'm going to preface it by saying, I hate the job that I'm at now. I'm going to ask you now, this means nothing, right? But let me just humor me.
Go for it.
Is Bet-Sided hiring? And
no.
Would I be able to apply?
If next time we are hiring, I'm sure we are going to hire. I'll let you know. I don't have any. I'm not a hiring man.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like that's why I said.
I'm an editor. Like I have no say in the hiring process whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'll let you know next time we're hiring.
Yeah.
We're on a hiring freeze right now until April. Once again, another thing I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but we're on a hiring freeze right now until April. So, I mean, I like you guys. There's a reason why I come on your podcast. I think you guys are entertaining. I like talking to you guys. I like your podcast. So, I'll keep you guys in the loop.
Yeah. I mean, that would be awesome. So, cause I started writing for this company, I guess you would call it.
I saw that you've been doing some writing.
Ultimate Sports Networks. I was supposed to get paid. There's a pay structure involved, and I have not been paid yet. I've been doing it for 2 months now, but I'm just going to continue doing it and whatever. I guess I'm just not going to get paid for it, but it's at least putting stuff out there.
Yeah, and that's what I tell the people. Everyone who asks how to get in the business, just start doing something. So you guys are doing it right. You're doing something, because I get all the time people who just message me and they're like, "Hey, I'm like 10-2 in my last 12 picks. Can you hire me?" It's like, have you ever written anything? Have you ever recorded any audio? Have you ever done any videos? No, but I'm 10-2 in my last 12 picks. It's like, that's you don't get into the sports betting business by being on a little bit of a hot streak. So you guys are doing it right. But I mean, another thing that a lot of people don't realize is how little money people, especially starting off, because I used to work for a bank. I had to take a big pay cut to get, when I started in the sports media industry. It's not a high paying job. I mean, I'm living in New York right now, but you might be able to tell I live in a room that looks like a jail cell. So that's certainly something to be aware of. But you're creating content, man. I respect it. I see it. I don't see you. I see you out there writing articles.
Is it we've been on opposite ends of a lot of them too, because I try and get through and write, and then I go to listen to your podcast, and then I compare. And sometimes there's a few that we're on the same side, and there's a lot that we're on the opposite side, or a lot of times too, there's like, I'm on a total, you're on a spread, or something like that. But I try. I
see it. I respect it.
But I hit 57% in baseball this year. So you should just hire me. You should just hire me.
Have the Brinks truck just pick them up.
Yeah. You, the editor at that site.
Get the keys to the Brinks truck for me.
Not the HR department for Fansided, probably, that actually does the hiring.
No, it's you. You do it.
Yeah, people think I am BetSider. I have some big pull. Like, I can just hey, hire this guy. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Ian,
sure.
You've been with us 6 months and you're still pretty low in the totem pole, but hey, we'll hire anyone you want.
Yeah. Is it actually remote though, or is it like you have to relocate to New York? Because I know obviously you did.
No, it's remote. Well, I didn't have to move to New York, but I did have to get in the States. So if I would have stayed in Canada, I wouldn't have been a full-time employee. But no, I mean, guys who are there's my manager for BetSided lives in Missouri. One of the editors lives in Texas. Our video producer lives in Texas. So it's pretty remote at this point, which
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's nice. At the same time, I don't love, because I think in the content space, there's a lot of creativity and there's a lot of things that you get when you're in person and just working next to people that you don't get when you're working remotely. But
yeah,
I thought I was going to go to the office a lot more than I have, but I've gone in like 3 times, and it's like a 15-minute subway ride away from me. And I've gone in like 3 times. So I might move away from New York City because it's expensive as shit to live here.
Yeah. Well, don't go to Massachusetts.
I want to go to Arizona. I want to go somewhere I can golf.
That's where you have to go. Much as I would love to golf with you and hang out with you all the time, don't go to Massachusetts.
Nope.
I just based on having to be around Boston sports fans all year, just that alone would make me not want to move there.
It makes me fucking sick. And I am one of them.
Yeah. Nobody hates me more than me.
That's true.
Arizona would be awesome though. Arizona would be nice, but now I've been in a relationship for a few months now, and my girlfriend loves, she's obsessed with New York City. So I'm slowly trying to convince her to move to Arizona, but I don't know how successful.
Sounds like you need a new girlfriend.
Yeah, maybe.
We need a nice pros and cons chart.
Yeah.
Weather.
Yeah, I sent her. Living. I keep just sending her links to Phoenix apartments and be like, look at this place we could live for like the same price that we can live in a shoebox here.
Yeah.
The Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
Does she at least have a job that's like easy to relocate?
Yeah, I think she could. Yeah,
because that's huge. Like, it's, if you're, I don't know, I'm trying to think of places, like if you're like a nurse or like whatever, like those are pretty easy jobs to find another job. But if you're like, or construction or something, but if you're like I don't know, a director of HR, like those don't pop up very frequently.
Yeah. Yeah, and she makes significantly more money than I do, so it's I kind of just have to give in at some point.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do like New York City. It's just expensive. That's all. It's a very interesting place to live. A lot of things to do, a lot of things to see, but it's fucking expensive, man. It's wild.
Yeah, I hear you. It's almost as bad up here. It's not to the same level, but it's close. And it's not ideal. There's a reason why I live 35 miles outside of Boston.
Yeah. You live that far out of Boston, eh?
Yeah. I'm in North Attleboro, which is like on the Rhode Island line. Like essentially like down the street is Rhode Island. I'm actually really close to Gillette Stadium, Foxborough. It's like 15, 20 minutes away from me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I don't frequent Patriots games. No, I only go to away games.
Yeah, I've been to equal away games as I have been to Gillette at this point, I think.
Yeah. Because Patriots fans are obnoxious and they suck.
Oh, I went and saw my Falcons live for the first time when they played against the Giants this year. Giants fans are something.
They are something.
They are like the most New York. I just looked around and like looked at the people around me, like the most stereotypical New York people in the world.
Yeah, like every single one of them is Joey or Tony, and
yeah, exactly.
Long Island. Yeah,
yeah.
I get the thick gold chain.
The gold chain. Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious.
Outside of the shirt.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
Game-winning field goal, right? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was right behind the uprights. It was kicked through, so it was quite the experience.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And Giants fans were actually, to be honest, they're pretty nut. One guy like told me like get out of here because I was cheering for the Falcons, but then like everyone else around me like stood up for me. So Giants fans were actually nice. Just the most I think we had a mutual respect where like we both knew our team sucked. So it's just like, let's just enjoy this game, and whatever happens, it doesn't matter because neither of us are going to the playoffs. So there was kind of that a bit of that to it, but
yeah,
it's fun.
Friendship in pain.
Right, exactly. On the train ride over the stadium, I was actually talking to a Giants fan, and we were both like, yeah, your team's probably going to win because our team sucks. And he was like, no, you guys are probably going to win. We suck. Misery loves company.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. So thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget, like, rate, subscribe, YouTube, all that stuff, wherever you are. Spotify now allows you to rate. So go to Spotify, give us 5 stars. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. We're on Twitter at Sarcasm_speaks. Our Facebook page is Sarcasm Speaks. Ian, tell everyone where they can find you.
Twitter, Iain MacBets, IAIN MacBets. It is not Lane. I get Lane quite often. It is not Lane. I get Lane more than anything else.
The capital I does look like an L, but then you think about it like, why would I write a lowercase L?
No one starts their name with a lowercase L.
Yeah.
And also, do you guys know anyone named Lane? And if you do they spell it L-A-I-N?
Yeah.
So I would say I don't know them personally. It's Layne.
Yeah.
I thought Lane isn't Lane Lane. Isn't there Lane Johnson in the NFL?
Oh yeah, so he's Lane.
But still, do you know any Lanes Lain?
Can't say that I do.
I haven't, but that's what I get more than anything else all the time. So yeah, Iain MacBets on Twitter. Bacon Bets podcast, Bet Side. I'm actually going to record the Bacon Bets podcast right after I'm off this. So
that's awesome.
I'm going to give you guys a shout out on it.
Oh, hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to have you guys on sometime. I don't usually have guests. I'll have you guys on sometime though.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now how about that job? Did I tell you I hit 57% of my baseball bets?
Shut up, you're scaring them.
All right. So that's it. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. And until next time, good night.